Shalom, Kahala Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bahashim Kakodash, double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of GMS, including the elders that came before them that taught us his truth. Shalom and salutations to all the brothers out pushing the word and truth and sincerity, the hopeful elect tabernacle of David. The Akwat that are listening and learning, being a pillar of rest, the 144,000, one-third, the hopeful elect of Israel. I am the brother Yashawan. And this lesson is about the end in this war and how close we're getting to the end. So this is not the war update, but it's about the war nonetheless. So Jeremiah 15:14, put yourselves in array against Babylon round about. This is the end of Babylon the Great, which is America. All ye that bend the bow, shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she hath sinned against the Lord. Okay? All right, so we are in the time, see, of the beginning of wars. We're beyond the beginning of wars. We're in the war. Everybody knows that, war, and World War III. And we're not the ones saying it. They're saying it from the top down. Vlad Putin is saying World War III. Joe Biden is saying World War III. Okay? We've been saying it going all the way back, but now they're saying it. Okay? This is 2nd Ezra 16 and 17. Woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mourning, the beginning of famine and great death. You see that? The beginning of wars. And the power shall stand in fear, and beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? We're beyond the beginning of wars. We're in the wars. Okay? In the wars, let's go down here. In the wars, right? This came out yesterday, but it's coming out again. In the wars, where's that? Oh, Slocky. Bear with me. Bear with. They that marry. Hmm. In the wars. See that? The beginning of war. Here, okay, this is what, 34? Where is it? In the wars. Okay, so 34. Let's go back to what, 18? The beginning. Yep. 2nd Ezra 16 and 18. The beginning of sorrows and great mourning, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars. Okay? So here we have the beginning of wars, right? And here we have in the wars. So where are we right now? We're in the wars. The beginning is gone. Okay, the wars are firmly in place. Right? What is Israel over there? They're fighting for their lives. Okay, and losing, according to Scott Ritter. Who would know? Unless he's just a big propagandist. Anyway, so that's where we are. And my boy Hustle Bitch here, who they stay on him pretty tight, so I'm surprised that he's putting videos on. Let's see. So this one's new, and then 10 days ago, right? And then 3 months. So he has to run for a while because they be on him, right? Because he's good at what he does. Anyway, so we're going to watch this, which is, let's go back. Let's see.
To thrive. It's mostly thanks to the...
So we're going to watch this, and it's 8 minutes long, but you know what? It's so packed full of information because I watched up about to about 6 minutes in. And I'm like, you know what? It's only 2 more minutes. And it's just very, very good information that you need to be up on. Look at all the comments. So maybe we'll look at the comments. But anyway, so this is Hustle Bitch. 56 minutes ago. It's brand new, right? U.S. military panics over Russian attack plan. Okay, we can pull that right out of the scriptures. Okay, this Russian war is one of the biggest fronts out there right now. Okay, I think it's the biggest, right, at the moment, because Israel is afraid of Hamas, afraid of Hezbollah, right? You got all them Arabs around you, you can't even fight. Anyway, take it away, Hustle Bitch.
As usual, the mainstream media is trying to keep you in the dark about a very important issue.
Let me say this real quick, see? They don't want you to know what's really going on over there because they're getting their ass whipped. So you're only getting one side of the story. You got to come to channels like this to get the other side. And then once you have, a plethora of information, then you can make an educated guess. All right. So anyway, again.
As usual, the mainstream media is trying to keep you in the dark about a very important issue.
And now we have Russian warships and nuclear submarines surrounding Cuba 60 miles off the coast of Florida. How does that make you feel? Do you feel good about that?
Remember the Cuban Missile Crisis? Yeah, the same one that nearly started a nuclear apocalypse? Well, it looks like we're about to witness part 2 of that. Russian warships and nuclear submarines have been holding naval drills in the Atlantic on their way to Cuba, where they will be docked. And these ships are equipped with the latest hypersonic missiles directly from Russia. These Zircon missiles are capable of penetrating any missile defense system and have a range of more than 600 miles. And scarily enough, they will be placed just 60 miles off the coast of Florida.
Moscow is making moves close to the United States. 4 Russian warships are now just off the coast of Florida, including a nuclear-capable submarine stationed near Cuba.
So you can see why experts are calling this a very alarming situation. To make matters worse, this armada has arrived only days after the Russian president made it clear that if the U.S. and its allies are providing weapons to Russia's enemies, his country has the right to take similar actions. In the same interview, he once again reminded us that Russia will not hesitate to use the nukes if it was pushed beyond a certain limit. In his own words, for some reason, they believe in the West that Russia will never use it. If somebody's actions threaten our sovereignty and territorial integrity, we consider it possible to use all means at our disposal. Now,
okay, so that's I gotta stop it there real quick. It's very pertinent because for some reason, they believe in the West that Russia will never use it. What reason? For some reason, they believe. Because the Most High is mind controlling them. What do they believe? What God wants them to believe. Okay? For some reason, they believe in the West that Russia will never use it. Okay? All right? So they're calling Russia's bluff. Why are they playing fast and loose? I quickly have to, qualify this as Proverbs, right? 21. Okay? Proverbs 21:1. The king's heart, and the king is Vlad. The king is Joe Biden. The king's heart, this word heart, is the Hebrew word lob, which means your mind. So the king's mind is a waterway in the hand of the Lord. He directs it where he pleases. Okay? And when you go to the GNT, you get the mind control. Let's go to King James. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, as the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will. The king's heart is his mind. It's the Hebrew word lob. Okay, so now we go down. We find where it says mind. There's mind. Oh, and there's the word control. So we got mind control. Whose mind control? God's mind control. So it's supreme. It's M-K, supreme. which is mind control. Okay? The Lord controls the mind of a king as easily as he directs the course of a stream. Now we go back here and we understand for some reason they believe in the West that Russia will never use it. So God is setting this thing up. He'd have made them believe that they can set up on Russia's border like Russia did to them in the Cuban Missile Crisis in the 60s. So the Americans are out of their mind, right? Out of their what? They're being mind controlled. They believe what God wants them to believe. All right, so carry on.
Our disposal. Now, this might seem like the unhinged ramblings of a warlord, but you have to understand that this is not happening in a vacuum. The decisions made by our very own leaders are partially responsible for this clear escalation in hostilities. I'm sure most people haven't even heard that just last week, Ukraine used American weapons to strike inside of Russian territory. Now, this might seem like no big deal, but this is a big shift in the U.S. policy regarding the weapons it supplies to Ukrainian forces. This policy doesn't allow Ukraine to use missiles and other weapon systems to strike offensively inside the Russian territory. But according to a new directive from President Joe Biden himself, Ukrainians can now use these weapons against Russian forces that are getting ready to launch an attack. And these new directives aren't even the only thing pushing Putin to the edge.
NATO is developing numerous land corridors to send American troops and weapons to the front lines in the event of a major ground war with Russia.
Now, let me be clear. This new plan will only come into action in case Russia invades Europe, but even making plans for such a possibility sends a very wrong message to a rogue state like Russia. And let me also make it clear that a war between Russia and the US is the last thing anyone wants. And you don't have to take my word for it. Just listen to what Joe Biden had to say about this.
Okay, now listen to this very closely. This guy's going to keep saying World War III, World War III, World War III. It's coming from the top down. And people don't understand. See, you got them goggles, you got them rose-colored glasses on right now, and you don't want this war to come. But guess what? We're beyond the beginning of wars. We're in the wars. Now they're about to send, they're conscripting, they're drafting, they're passing legislation, and your children are going over there to die. Plain and simple.
I want to be clear, though. We're going to make sure Ukraine has the weapons to defend themselves from invading Russian force. And we will send money and food aid to save Ukrainian lives.
But not
We're going to welcome
Palestinian.
Ukrainian refugees with open arms if, in fact, they come all the way here. And as we provide this support to Ukraine, we're going to continue to stand together with our allies in Europe and send unmistakable message that we will defend every inch of NATO territory, every single inch, with a united, galvanized NATO.
I don't think Israel is part of NATO. But you're protecting and aiding, supporting them. So what the fuck are you doing, hypocrite? Right? You're not sending food aid to the Palestinians. You're blocking it. Okay? So what's really going on? So it looks like a black and white thing to me.
One movement. That's why I moved over 12,000 American forces along the borders with Russia, Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, Romania, etc. Because they move once. Granted, if we respond, it is World War III, but we have a sacred
That's one
obligation on NATO territory, a sacred obligation, Article 5. And we will not, although we will not fight the Third World War in Ukraine. Putin's war against Ukraine will never be a victory. Democrats are rising to meet the moment, rallying the world on the side of peace and security. We're showing a strength and we'll never falter. But look, the idea that we're going to send in offensive equipment and have planes and tanks and trains going in with American pilots and American crews, just understand, and don't kid yourself, no matter what you all say.
Real quick, what did he just say? Is this a war between Russia and the Ukrainians? He's saying The Americans are fighting this war. Listen.
To meet the moment, rallying the world on the side of peace and security. We're showing the strength and we'll never falter. But look, the idea that we're going to send in offensive equipment and have planes and tanks and trains going in with American pilots and American crews, just understand, don't kid yourself, no matter what you all say, that's called World War III.
You see this? He's saying it. He just told you World War III is Russia against America. He just told you it has nothing to do with the Ukraine.
So you may...
That has to be played again. This bumbling idiot. How many times did he say World War III? Have to play it again. Okay? Because this is where you are and you don't understand. You believe like they believe, oh, Russia will never do that. Okay? So you're under what is known as strong delusion that you're believing a lie. All right, coming down straight from the top. Listen to this dude.
To be clear, though, we're going to make sure Ukraine has the weapons to defend themselves from invading Russian force. And we will send money and food aid to save Ukrainian lives. We're going to welcome Ukrainian refugees with open arms if, in fact, they come all the way here. And as we provide this support to Ukraine, we're going to continue to stand together with our allies in Europe and send an unmistakable message that we will defend every inch of NATO territory, every single inch, with a united, galvanized NATO. One movement. That's why I moved over 12,000 American forces along the borders with Russia.
Listen to him admitting, right? The reason why Vlad had to send his flotilla and surround, see, you don't understand. It's not one submarine. There are many surrounding Babylon right now. Why? He's telling you he has Russia surrounded. NATO. He's telling you that now. So they're not sending troops over there. They're already there. Listen to his words.
Territory, every single inch, with a united, galvanized NATO. One movement. That's why I moved over 12,000 American forces along the borders with Russia, Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, Romania, etc. Because they move once. Granted, if we respond, it is World War III, but we have a sacred obligation on NATO territory, a sacred obligation, Article 5. And we will not, although we will not fight the Third World War in Ukraine. Putin's war against Ukraine will never be a victory. Democrats are rising to meet the moment, rallying the world on the side of peace and security. We're showing the strength and we'll never falter. But look, the idea that we're going to send in offensive equipment and have planes and tanks and trains going in with American pilots and American crews, just understand, don't kid yourself, no matter what you all say, that's called World War III.
So you may be wondering, if we're not looking to start an apocalypse, then why are we letting things get so out of hand? Well, the short answer to that question is that we have simply lost control of this situation. Yeah?
That's it. Why have you lost control? See, first of all, you never had control, right? Who's got control? The Lord controls. Who's controlling? Did you lose control? No, you lost control of the narrative. We got the narrative. You're being mind controlled. Everything is going according to plan. Okay? The Lord, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, controls the mind of the king. See that? So they haven't lost control. Yeah, Babylon lost control, but they were never in control. Right? They were hoodwinked from the beginning. They're going to lose this war. And so where are we? 5. So this is good. You know, he's in there breaking it down. He's got some stuff in there. So go watch this and keep your eye on this guy because he does good work. This is why. I haven't seen that. Joe Blow giving up. He's giving up the goat, right? He just told you, already got my troops over there. He said 12,000, but can't believe, the lie is a little bit of truth mixed in with a whole bunch of lies. All right. So, we could pretty much end it right there. What did I want to get? I think I had something. Yeah, I think we started here. Yeah. Here's what is about to happen. Let's go back. So this is Jeremiah 50 and 14. Put yourselves, right? NATO is going to break up the 10 toes, part strong, part weak. They're going to crumble, and all of them are going to do this. Jeremiah 50 and 14, put yourselves in array against Babylon, which is America, round about. And you know what? Vlad has already done this. He's got America surrounded with U-boats, right? And other vessels and stuff that they're not saying anything about. They have to say, oh, well, they're off the coast of Cuba, right? They have to say it because you're going to be able to see them. But, hey, Russia is right across the Pacific. See? Russia owns, what is this? Alaska. We basically swindled Alaska from Russia. Now they want to okay, we want our shit back, right? Kind of like how China wants Taiwan back. So anyway, Russia has done this. Vlad has done this to America already. Put yourselves in array against Babylon. What? Round about. Surround her. Encircle her. They've done that. Okay? And if you dig deep, you'll find out that there are U-boats, nuclear armed submarines all around America. Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about. All ye that bend the bow, shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she hath sinned against the Lord. Let's look. Let's take a quick look. Russia has America surrounded with nuclear subs. Let's see what comes up. 5 days ago. See, they're going to just point. They're going to point and distract you. Oh, yeah, there is one down there in Cuba. Here we go, right here. Major escalation. How many days ago? 9 days ago. Russia has surrounded the U.S. with dozens of submarines armed. Whoa, there you go. Okay? See, who is this? Boris Borzikman. All right? So this is some independent dude, but this is mainstream media, right? CNN is mainstream. ABC is mainstream. What are they telling you? They're saying, look down to Cuba. Don't consider the whole situation. Now we got to look at this. Now we have to look at this. Because that just happened. When that precept came out, set yourselves in array round about, that's what this is. We're showing and proving right now. Okay, Salaki. We're showing and proving.
After the recent statement by Russian President Vladimir Putin that Moscow will definitely give an asymmetric response to the actions of the West in Ukraine, the activity of numerous forces fighting against the American military around the world has rapidly increased. In the last 24 hours alone, about 8 attacks on American air bases and military convoys have been recorded in Iraq and Syria. Moreover, Yemen's Houthis have also intensified their attacks on commercial and military vessels of Western countries, in the southern part of the Red Sea and the western part of the Gulf of Aden.
Nice.
The statement by the president of Russia that Moscow will begin to actively arm the forces that are fighting the United States and its so-called allies has the effect of a bombshell in the West.
That goes into Ezekiel 38, right? And those that are joined unto you. It said, prepare for yourself and prepare thou and them that are joined unto you. Meaning give them some weapons. All right, we might have to go to that, Lord willing.
Western experts and analysts are still wondering who exactly Russia will start supplying deadly weapons to fight the United States and other Western countries. American journalists even tried to get an answer to this question from the head of the Kremlin's press service, Dmitry Peskov, during his meeting with the world media at the International Economic Forum in St. Petersburg. However, Dmitry Peskov refused to answer this question. Moscow is not obliged to give an account of which side will receive high-precision Russian weapons. At the same time, he noted that everything happening today is a consequence of the rash actions of the United States and its allies in Ukraine.
Very true. They're forcing them to do this. They don't have a choice.
Commenting on Putin's statements, a military expert and retired lieutenant colonel of the U.S. Army, Daniel Davis, said that the United States and other Western countries will certainly feel the negative consequences of their rash decisions to start supplying long-range weapons systems to Ukraine and at the same time give permission to the Ukrainian army to use these Western weapons against
This is really good information.
territories of the Russian Federation. Daniel Davis noted that due to the retaliatory actions of Russia, the United States and other Western countries are putting themselves at great risk. At the same time, the expert acknowledged that the United States and its allies were heavily defeated in Ukraine, and that the current escalation was the result of Western despair.
Wait a minute. Who was defeated in Ukraine? Listen to that closely. At the same time, the expert acknowledged that Babylon the Great and its allies. It didn't say Ukraine. It said Babylon was defeated in Ukraine. Listen.
Acknowledged that the United States and its allies were heavily defeated in Ukraine, and that the current escalation was the result of Western despair. By the way, Washington received another bad news today. As it turned out, not only the warships of the Russian Northern Fleet, led by the frigate Admiral Gorshkov and the nuclear submarine Kazan, armed with hundreds of Zircon hypersonic missiles, but also the
they have no, they don't have no missiles. They don't have no nukes on them, is what they said.
ships of the Pacific Fleet of the Russian Federation are rapidly heading to the shores of the United States.
Salaki, let me see what he said. Did he say, yeah, they got the Cuban flotilla, but they got other ones too? Let's see what he said.
By the way, Washington received another bad news today. As it turned out, not only the warships of the Russian Northern Fleet, led by the frigate Admiral Gorshkov and the nuclear submarine Kazan, armed with hundreds of Zircon hypersonic missiles, but also the warships of the Pacific Fleet of the Russian Federation, are rapidly heading to the shores of the United States.
Did you hear that? So they're coming in from the Pacific too, just like I said, because Russia is right across the Pacific. Mongolia, all of that. And again, Russia wants Alaska back, nigga. Okay? So, carry on.
In particular, we are talking about the missile cruiser Varyak and the frigate Marshal Shaposhnikov. Let me remind you that these missile ships are among the most powerful and deadly in the Russian Navy. In addition, it is reliably known that these warships are accompanied by 11 submarines. Unfortunately, sources in the Russian military department refused to name the type and class of these submarines. According to them, This information is a state secret. Thus, very soon, the United States in its backyard will be forced to observe naval exercises of a very powerful force, capable of destroying all strategically important military facilities in the southern and eastern parts of the United States. Moreover, as it turned out, strategic bombers Tu-160 and Tu-95 MS will also soon join these military exercises in the backyard of the United States. Most likely, they will practice launching a nuclear strike on the territory of the United States.
This is my favorite.
So it's serious. Okay, I'm gonna stop this right here. I'm gonna end this lesson. This is called Boris Borzikman. Borzikman. I'm gonna subscribe to him right now because I like that. 9 days ago. So you have to put that in perspective. A lot has gone on since this. You understand? And what we see going on is because of whatever this was, okay? What they're saying 9 days ago, that was a major escalation. Well, where are we now and how much has it escalated since then that they're not telling you about, okay? Russia has U.S. surrounded with dozens of submarines 9 days ago and probably before that. All right? So this is what's really going on. Now, America ain't going to tell you this information. They're going to point down to Cuba and say, yeah, they got a sub out there and a couple of warships. No, you're completely surrounded. Now we go back here. You're completely what? Put yourselves, Jeremiah 50 and 14, put yourselves in array against Babylon round about. All ye that bend the bow. You saw the warships and how they're shooting missiles and what they're armed with. All ye that bend the bow, shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she hath sinned against the Lord. So you see the prophecy clearly popping off of the page. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end it right there. We got more. I got to make the war update. How am I going to do that now? Anyway, with that, we hope that the elect will edify you, brother and sisters. Shalom.